Hi folks, and welcome to today's video, which is a custom video. You may have seen the last video that I did on this model, which is an Animagic guinea pig. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get the stitching out of the fur, with it being quite difficult to unpick, but I found that I can get the stitches out. So how I decided to proceed was to remove a piece at a time, take a pattern of it, cut out the fresh fur, and then keep sewing the new piece in. So that's what I've done with this dark sort of chocolatey grey fur that I'm using here. This is the first fresh piece of fur that I'm using for this project. One of the things that surprised me about this fur covering, once I got a good look at it, was how kind of intricate it is. There's lots of small pieces. So I've decided to do it all by hand and not on machine, because it would be too fiddly to try and do it on the sewing machine. I've never seen this before. They've put a piece of really stretchy material in between the fur that goes in front of the back leg, and that must be to allow the covering to stretch so that this leg can move. Never seen that before. So I took the piece of ginger fur off here and I've sewn this brown fur onto the stretchy material here. So the next piece I'm going to work on is this piece here. I've already unpicked it, it's just pinned at the moment. So I'm going to use that as a pattern and cut a piece of the cream fur that I've got and then pin it in this place here. So I've sewn this new piece of cream fur to the browny sort of grey coloured fur. I'll have to unscrew the screw in this leg eventually, because that goes on the outside of this cream fur here. But the next piece I'm going to be working on is this piece of white fur. So I need to unpick this here, take a pattern, get another piece of the cream fur and sew it to that. And I will eventually be putting a zip on this side of it, because I'm not going to use Velcro. I prefer to have a zip. So I've sewn that cream piece on now, and the next piece I've got to unpick and take a pattern from is this ginger bit here. So I'll be taking a pattern of that and replacing it with some more of the dark brown greyish coloured fur. So I've replaced this bit now and sewn it on, which completes that side of the body. And I've also repeated the same process for the other side and sewn it along the top here. So I've got the fur all the way around now on the body. So the next thing I need to do is take the screws out of the front legs and put the legs on the outside of the body as they were with the original fur. So I've put the front legs on the outside of the fur on both sides, and it looks like it's fitting well. So the next thing to do is to sew the zip on underneath, and I'm going to do that on the sewing machine. So I've put the zip in now, and I've sewn all of the back of the guinea pig together, and I've decided that I'm not going to sew the fur around the back legs, as that was causing it to have a big load on it and for that poorly leg to stop it hopping along. So I've decided I'm going to leave the fur off the legs, and I am going to cover the legs and make feet of it for it, but those are going to be out of latex. So you can see you can move along a lot better now. So as the body is now complete, I can now start working on the head. So the first part of working on the head has meant removing the orange fur that's got the eye and the ear in off this side of the face, and removing a piece of white fur that went in between the two orange pieces. So this is the piece of white fur that went in between the two orange pieces, and it's made up of 3 parts. So there's a backing to it, and then there's some stuffing in between the fur and the backing. So I unpicked the backing of the fur, took a pattern of the fur and cut it out, and sewed it back onto the backing with the stuffing in between, and this is what it looks like. So next we need to remove the eye from this piece of fur and put it in the fresh piece of fur.
It's a one-time snap fixing. It locks it together and it won't come apart without actually destroying that snap fixing.
Yes, so
but we don't want to damage the eye.
No, because we're going to reuse it. So you're going to try and break this snap fixing on the back.
And I'm going to warm the end of the scalpel up in the flame, and we're just going to try and cut through with a hot blade. Let's try that. Okay, so that's a cut on one side, a cut on this side. So that ring's got a hot groove put in on both sides, and oh, it's come apart with just fingernails. Oh, look at that, that's great.
Oh, fab.
Super. So now you're free to,
right.
We are free to take the eye out and reuse in the new guinea pig fur. Well, that works a lot better than I thought, actually. Very good. There's the eye.
So we've put the eye in the fresh fur, put a bit of glue on the ring that goes on the back to keep it secure, and I've sewn it onto the piece of white fur and removed this piece, taken a pattern and sewn some white fur on it. So that's basically one side of the top of the head completed in the middle of the head, and I've got this piece to work on next, which is quite tricky. This piece goes under the mouth so that you can operate the switch above it. So it's sewn on the inside like this. So I've unpicked the backing here, but the top of the fur goes in between the backing and this piece of plastic. So this all needs to be unpicked before we can remove this piece of fur and take a pattern from it. And then when I cut the fresh piece of fur, that fresh piece of fur is going to have to be trapped between this piece of plastic and the backing. So quite a complicated piece. So I've managed to put the fresh piece of fur on and sew all of these pieces back together onto it, including some fresh elastic loops. So next I need to pin this together and sew it so that it forms that lower part of the face where the mouth hole is there. So I've sewn the chin part and the mouth part of the head onto the head now, and I've cut out the piece of brown fur for the other side of the head and I've pinned it, but I need to get the eye out of the orange fur for this side first and glue it into this fur before I can sew this last piece of fur to the rest of the head. I will need to trim this eventually around the nose and mouth area, but I'm waiting until the head's completed and on the model before I do the trimming. That'll be the last thing that I do. So that's all the head sewn together. It's starting to look pretty cute. So next I've got to sew the back of the head to the part of the fur that is at the front of the body above the back of the head. So I'm going to sew those two bits together next, and I'll be hand sewing those two pieces together. So I've sewn the fur at the back of the head onto the body now, and I've neatened it up around the mouth. So the next thing I've got to do is sew some embroidery thread here that'll go through this hole and that hole and tie together to keep the eyes and the top of the head in the correct place. So that's the embroidery thread I used to sew those pieces of fur and pull the backs of the eyes into those holes. So the next thing I've got to do is clip these pieces of elastic around these little lugs on either side of the head. That's the first one. So I've got the elastic just on the plastic lug on the other side, but it's only just holding on there, so I think it might be best to put a dab of glue on that so that it doesn't come off. So Paul helped me with that. He put a dab of glue on both bits of elastic at the end. And I think I'll also get Paul to put a dab of glue on the bottom lip to hold it securely in the right place for the mouth. So we've put a drop of glue under the bottom lip, and I've just put this in the mouth while the glue's setting to stop the fur from the top lip getting stuck to it. Well, that's it. The guinea pig is all sewn together now. I finished off by sewing under the chin area here, so it's all sewn together. I trimmed a bit here. I am going to make a little bit of a nose with some embroidery thread there as well. Trimmed a little bit where the eyes are. And that's how the guinea pig is looking. So that's it next to the other guinea pig. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, in fact, I think it looks more like a guinea pig than it looks like a pedigree.
So the little guinea still needs some ears. I'm going to make those out of latex in the next video. And I'm going to make some feet, new feet, and some leg coverings out of latex in the next video. And I'm going to try a little bit of a nose on it out of embroidery wool.
Right, yeah.
But that's it for all the fur and the stitching. Big job that was.
Yeah, but it's been pretty successful though.
So I think I'll finish off this video by just showing the two guinea pigs side by side in action. Wow! Wow, can't she move now?
Yeah.
I think it is a she, you know.
Why is that then?
I don't know, just looks pretty. It looks like a she.
Yeah.
I think she might have to have a little bow here.
She's got a good gait on her.
And she couldn't walk properly before.
So how comes she can walk properly now?
Because she hasn't
what's the
got a
difference?
load on her.
Because the fabric's not pulling on the leg anymore. Is that it?
Yeah, the fur isn't sewn around the leg.
I understand.
I'm just going to make these like latex legs to cover the leg, so it's not going to sort of confine it in any way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fixed so she can move again as well.
Great. Great. It's quite a good gait on them, isn't it? A bit like the high stepping that guinea pigs often do when they're excited.
So folks, I hope you enjoyed that custom video, and I hope you'll join me in the next video when this little lady will get some ears and some nice leg coverings. Thanks for watching as always, and hope to see you next time.